Today's story is about how a cheating wife decided to go on vacation with her boyfriend, but her husband beat her to it by 2 steps. I found myself dissatisfied despite having a wonderful husband who loves me wholeheartedly. Over the years, he has been a pillar of support for our family, adored by our daughters, and a go-to person for our neighbors' computer-related troubles. My husband Derek is not one to flirt, and he almost always satisfies me in bed, even getting upset if I don't reach my peak. Comparing him to my previous lovers, Derek stands out as the best. However, as I approached 45 and near the empty nest phase, I began to feel a need for reassurance about my attractiveness from someone other than Derek. Despite his constant affirmation that I was more beautiful than ever, I couldn't ignore the changes in the mirror. Once pouty breasts now sagging, wrinkles on once smooth cheeks, and the grey in my hair needing to be concealed. The chair that once comfortably accommodated me now hinted at the limits of my changing physique. Despite knowing I could enhance my appearance with makeup and the right dress, I couldn't shake the feeling of fleeting allure. In my dreams, I began to entertain thoughts of what it would be like with another lover. Sometimes, during intimate moments with Derek, images of other men, from TV heartthrobs to handsome colleagues, would intrude, igniting a spark of excitement within me. I started to experiment with my work wardrobe, opting for shorter skirts, bras that accentuated my curves, and an extra button undone on my blouses. The attention from men at the office increased, and changes in my attire didn't go unnoticed. Among them was Roger, a colleague who had been flirting with me for years. I never took his advances seriously until one day, feeling particularly bold, I found myself alone with him in my office. What started as a daring game quickly escalated into something uncontrollable. Months of suppressed desires erupted in a frenzy of passion as we surrendered to our impulses. The encounter was intense, exhilarating, and undeniably thrilling. Despite the risk of getting caught, we were lucky to escape unnoticed. The aftermath left me stunned, but the excitement lingered, igniting a hunger for more. Recognizing the danger of our impulsive actions, we clandestinely arranged to meet again. Each encounter fueled our desire, leaving us craving deeper connections. Eventually, Roger proposed a daring plan, a 2-week cruise where we could indulge in each other's company without fear of exposure. The allure of complete isolation heightened our anticipation, and we eagerly embraced the opportunity for uninterrupted intimacy. Contemplating how to break the news to Derek about my impending 2-week absence consumed my thoughts for a while. Perhaps employing the half-truth method would suffice. I could explain to him that I feel the need for a temporary trial separation, citing a desire to rejuvenate my spirit in middle age. This will afford me the opportunity to reflect on our family's future, engage with others, and temporarily explore new connections. I reasoned that after 2 decades of marriage, Derek might welcome a brief hiatus. His loyalty and love for me are unwavering, and I doubt he'd entertain the idea of dating another woman, let alone act upon it. He's committed to our family and understands the potential financial implications of divorce. I'm confident he'd patiently await my return, albeit with a bit of pouting, and I'd have to promise not to repeat my actions. My intention is to be a faithful wife upon my return, showering Derek with affection and attention. I anticipate that the unrestrained intimacy of the cruise will satiate my desires, potentially putting an end to my encounters with Roger. However, if that's not the case, Roger and I will need to devise a safer means of meeting. I'll refrain from seeing him for several months after reuniting with Derek to safeguard our future together. Now, I just need to approach Derek at the right moment, when he's in good spirits. Lydia and I concluded our love session, which bore a resemblance to an intimate encounter, albeit with a sense of detachment from Lydia. While she mimicked the appropriate expressions of satisfaction, her lack of genuine engagement was evident. Despite this, she managed to guide me to the climax she seemingly aimed for. As we lay together afterward, Lydia appeared to gather her thoughts, evidently preparing to broach the topic I had anticipated. "Derek, you know I love you, right?" she began, prompting a wave of relief and readiness within me. "Yes, darling, I know you love me too," I responded, playing along, eager for the discussion ahead. If there's something you need that could benefit you greatly, of course, I'd support you, I affirmed, anticipating her request. As if I didn't know what you want, I continued. I mean my entire life, body and soul, to reevaluate everything, including our marriage and my motherhood. I believe I could only do this with a temporary trial leave from my duties as a wife and mother. You guys could probably take a break from me too. We'll all feel better when I return, rested and more dedicated than ever to being the best wife and mother I can be. I feel like I need some time to explore. Concerned, Lydia asked, "Wait, where are you going?" Without stopping, I headed down the hallway and called to our daughter's rooms. "Girls, wake up. It's time to go," I announced. "Daddy, we're not asleep yet. We'll be right there," they replied. When they entered the kitchen, Lydia asked if we should bring the girls in now. She insisted that there would be plenty of time to explain everything to them later. I suggested, "Lydia, our girls are part of the family. If you announce that you want to change, they are old enough to understand what you want and the consequences. We all as a family need to discuss what needs to happen. It's best if we sit around the kitchen table and each of us gets a chance to speak." Descending to the kitchen despite Lydia's request for a private conversation, I made myself a cup of coffee. The atmosphere was tense, and Lydia appeared to be losing courage. Refusing to make coffee for her, I detected a hint of apprehension in her demeanor. "Derek, you're making too much of this." "I'm just asking for some personal time. Leave with your boyfriend, Roger." "We know Lydia," I interrupted. Lydia looked shocked, denying any romantic involvement with Roger, but I pressed on, referencing Wednesday lunches that evolved into secretive rendezvous and were on the verge of turning into a 2-week cruise with Roger. Panicking, Lydia tried to deflect, claiming Roger was just a friend from work. But I confronted her about the clandestine nature of their relationship, specifically mentioning their Wednesday lunches. Faced with the truth, Lydia struggled to explain her intentions with Roger and the need for personal time to make decisions. At times, Alicia took matters into her own hands. "Oh really? The first time you two decided to take your lunch break in your executive room, Dad got a call. Your office was looking for you and Roger had exceeded your hourly lunch limit." I recounted. "Dad said he had no idea where you were. When you returned home that evening, he made up a story about coming to pick you up after dinner and not finding you. You lied and told him you were meeting with your boss. It wasn't a lie, it was the honest truth. I was at a meeting with Mr. Albright. The secretary must have made a mistake. You know she's not the most reliable person in the world," Lydia defended. "Since when did Roger become your boss?" "And in his office, nonetheless. In any case, that's when Dad decided to hire a private detective. We have a lot of videos and photos. It's true, Mom, this loser is not nearly as good looking as our father. You became a cheater in your old age," Alicia exclaimed. "How dare you talk to your mother like that? How dare you do what you do instead of acting like her mother?" I interjected, hearing Lydia's response tinged with anger. "If your father suspected something, why didn't he tell me directly and stop me?" "He clearly didn't think it was that important," Lydia retorted. I think it was Alicia who said, "Mom, you have a ring on your finger that says Daddy should never tell you not to have sex with another man. You agreed to renounce everyone else in your marriage vows," I recalled. "Dad said he mentioned that if he had stopped you this time with Roger, your desire for another man would have only been temporarily put on hold. By the time you were ready to try again, you would have learned to hide your deception better," Eddie added. Well, he could have said something. He should have said something if it was bothering him that much. It just shows that he doesn't care whether I enjoy another man's innocent attention or not. "I don't understand why he suddenly became so jealous," Lydia expressed. "No, Mom, he didn't tell you anything because he needed time to prepare. His lawyer and accountant were working to stop you from getting your hands on his money in a routine divorce. He didn't want the threat of financial ruin to influence his decision on whether to stay married or not. A few weeks later, he came to us and told us what was happening. He showed us a video. What we saw and heard disgusted us. Eddie and I told him we were on his side," I explained. "The Pope explained that modern divorce laws favor the wife, no matter what she has done to break her marriage vows. As I said, his lawyer and accountant have spent the last couple of months reducing your overall bills. I bet you didn't know that. Thanks to you, Eddie's education and mine are now fully funded, Alicia chimed in. What it must have cost him. Where does he get the money from? Lydia questioned. Oh, I understand now. He knows I won't try to get my college money back. This is downright mean of him. And you too conspired with your father against me, didn't you? Lydia accused. No, Mom, it was you and your lover who conspired against our family, either to turn a blind eye to your actions or to allow you to destroy us while you run away with your lover and a big chunk of Daddy's money. We were just covering our asses, and it takes a lot to cover your ass, Eddie clarified. Eddie's remark elicited giggles from both of them. Little creature, big beast. Now, girls, I said, ascending the stairs with my suitcases. Lydia looked shocked. Derek, maybe we can all calm down and talk about this. I admit that I may have made a big mistake. I really don't want a separation, much less a divorce. I'll tell Roger that I was wrong to want to spend some time with him. I'll never see him again, I promise. I never intended to divorce you or move away with Roger. I just wanted to have some fun with someone else. Too little, too late, darling. I understand that you and Roger have already paid for 2 weeks on the Love Boat. In my humble opinion, you two really need to enjoy the trip, because I expect life will be significantly more difficult for you when you return, I retorted. What do you mean by this? Firstly, you will have to take care of all the household chores and other responsibilities yourself, because the girls and I will live in a new apartment, I explained. Oh, Dad, which one did we buy? Please let it be the one with the hot tub. Alicia chimed in. It was available the day before yesterday when I last checked. We may have to spend a couple of nights in a hotel room until we find out if it's available, but I'm pretty sure we'll get the apartment we want, I reassured them. Secondly, I don't think you'll be here alone. Eventually, Roger will need somewhere to live. Do you know Roger's wife? Our trip shouldn't matter to her. She does not care either way. Their divorce is almost finalized, Lydia interjected. I guess it was Roger who told you about it. The truth is that their divorce was a surprise to Maggie when I met her almost 2 months ago. She waited and prepared with us so that she would be ready to respond as soon as you two broke the news. I called her a few minutes ago while I was upstairs. I think Roger is being kicked out of their house now. She said something about her older brother helping her get rid of the trash, I continued. He told me that she had already agreed to the divorce and didn't mind us going on a cruise or something. Roger told his wife that he had to go to California for a 2-week internship a week ago. She clarified with her boss that no training was expected, I added. Did she talk to Mr. Albright? Yes, oh yes. What a coincidence. Your boss too, I said, emphasizing the connection. This brings us to number 3. When you and Roger return from your trip, you won't have to go back to work. Your and Roger's boss was waiting for my signal to fire you both. He agreed to wait, and in the meantime chose a replacement. He won't do anything like that. Roger and I are valuable collaborators. You and Roger are employees whose actions allow Maggie and me to sue your company for allowing communication while on the job. He was very pleased when Maggie and I agreed to drop the lawsuit if you were both fired. It shouldn't have been like this at all, Lydia cried. No, it was you who should have remained a faithful wife and mother. We were supposed to grow old, retire, and enjoy our grandchildren together. Instead, you decided to alienate your family, significantly reduce the amount of money you would have, and tarnish your reputation beyond repair, I concluded. Derek, I can't believe you're treating me so poorly. I thought you loved me. What else are you going to do to upset me? Well, if you're curious, fighting a divorce and exposing your affairs with Roger will not only reach your parents, relatives, co-workers, and neighbors, but might also end up on a pornography site. Although, with Roger's modest attributes, it might not gain much popularity. This can't be happening, Derek. I love you. I always come home. I just needed some time alone. In about a month, everything will return to normal. And now you've turned against me for no reason. Of course, after all these years of marriage, I deserve some understanding. You all should offer me forgiveness and a second chance. Actually, no. You had a second, third, fourth, etc. chance every time you chose to meet Roger instead of fulfilling the responsibilities of a wife and mother. As for the value of this marriage 3 months ago, it meant everything to me. It was then that I realized our marriage and our children meant nothing to you, or at least much less than before. Lydia, you've been a great help to me. I was so depressed that I contemplated doing something drastic if it were just the two of us. I considered giving in to you, but then I decided that through my actions, I would teach our girls what they shouldn't do with their future husbands. I contemplated going through a regular divorce, but the thought of not being able to see my girls whenever I wanted brought me back to my senses. While grappling with this madness, after my lawyer mentioned getting a divorce in favor of my wife despite adultery, I became determined to ensure you and Roger received as little reward and as much punishment as possible. I believe you'll soon see that we've done a pretty good job. Now listen to me, Derek. You can't just pick up and leave with the kids. I'm their mother, and the court will likely grant me custody in a divorce. I'll charge you with kidnapping if you take them, and don't think I won't follow through. Perhaps you were partially right, though. My lawyer and I decided to postpone all procedures until Ed is old enough to officially state who she wants to live with. Alicia has already signed the notarized statement. I admit you can force Eddie to stay with you, but it probably won't be a good experience for her. Mom, guess what? I used to be quite disrespectful and impulsive. But now, brace yourself, because I'm planning on taking it to the next level. I might start skipping school, experimenting with drugs, and engaging in intimate relationships with boys. And if all that fails, I'll even consider accusing your boyfriend Roger of sexual harassment, and I expect you to back me up on it. It's clear, Lydia, that I'm more prepared for this than you ever were. You were supposed to accept the trial separation, maybe be upset, but in a few months, you would take me back like a prodigal son. No harm, no foul. I really didn't want to get a divorce. I just wanted you to think that divorce is too extreme a consequence for my vacation for a couple of months. Now, I don't know what to do. It's none of my business at the moment, but I would suggest figuring out how you're going to survive with the house and its bills without a regular income. You can sell the house and get half the equity. If this works out, you'll have enough money to last until you find a job. As Derek and the girls were about to leave, the phone rang. Derek said, "It's probably Roger looking for a place to sleep. Don't let him use my stuff." They were gone before I could call out to him. "Hello, Lydia. You know we've been caught." "Yes, they just left. Things aren't going the way you said they would. I shouldn't have fallen for your hay. I didn't seduce you. You attacked me in your office. I may have been hot, but you were on fire. There's no use arguing now. We need to decide what to do to save our marriages and jobs. Can I come over? Maggie kicked me out. I really can't afford a motel. I guess it doesn't matter now, but hurry up. I need to try to get some sleep today. Maybe tomorrow we can do something to at least save our jobs. Can you pick me up? I don't have my car keys, and I don't want to go back and deal with Maggie again tonight." The night of the confrontation marked the last time we were together as a family before the divorce hearing was scheduled. Lydia disappeared soon after. The house was swiftly sold, and she took her half of the capital along with all our savings and checks, seemingly out of spite. I wasn't overly concerned as most of our property had already been allocated towards prepaying for the girls' college education. My share of the house amounted to only about $45,000, diminished due to a home equity loan taken out a few years prior for building a back deck and patio. With my income and no alimony, I found myself not truly in need of the money. Lydia's actions led me to decide to wait a year and proceed with the divorce, anticipating her absence would prevent her from later coming back for money or custody, which I had no interest in granting her. Surprisingly, Roger stayed in the area, reportedly finding a modestly paid job and living independently. Maggie recently informed me of her engagement to one of her divorced neighbors, but is in no hurry to wed, having experienced enough. The girls and I are faring well now. Both are in college, with Alicia set to graduate next year, and Eddie possibly graduating in 3 years, though she's contemplating joining the Marines. They maintain contact with their mother via Facebook, as per my request, but refrain from sharing information about me with her and vice versa. I continue to work at my previous job, and I found companionship with a divorced school teacher, who, now that her son is heading to college, may move in with me soon. While marriage isn't on the table, we've discussed commitment and exclusivity, and my sex life has never been better, albeit with precautions in place. Lydia says Derek knows, of course. The girls are open to staying in touch with me, but they've mentioned that their father prefers not to share information about himself or receive updates about me. It feels as though the significance of the first 2 decades of our marriage has been diminished. During those years, I prided myself on being a devoted wife and mother. I invested considerable time and effort into managing our home and working, ensuring our financial stability. My contributions, alongside Derek's, went towards the upkeep of our household, the girls' needs, and all our expenses. I believed I'd earned the right to utilize the remainder of our finances, especially after Derek's impulsive decision to pre-fund the girls' college education. A move I grudgingly admit was astute on his part. Yet, as I ponder, I realize the crux of the matter lies beyond financial disputes. How culpable am I for the extent of the repercussions following 20 years of exemplary conduct, juxtaposed with a mere 3 months of indiscretion? I contend that I didn't deserve the severity of the consequences, though I acknowledge my missteps. In truth, it wasn't 3 months of deliberate wrongdoing, but rather a lapse in judgment. Roger, in hindsight, wasn't the prize he seemed. Much of the allure was rooted in secrecy and the thrill of risk-taking. Once confronted with the fallout, the value of our relationship plummeted, despite his desire to seek refuge with me, citing reparation for his failed marriage. Departing the city was driven by a sense of shame and fear of exposure as an unfaithful spouse, compounded by the threat of incriminating photographs. I feared Derek might exploit my vulnerability, tarnishing my reputation among those who knew me. Overnight, he morphed into an avenger, exacerbating my apprehension. I harbored hopes of starting anew, banking on Derek's eventual leniency and contemplation of reconciliation. So here I remain, waiting resolution. I've managed to secure a stable job in finance with a health insurance company, providing a semblance of normalcy amid the chaos. I used to be the one explaining to clients why they still needed to pay despite having insurance. Now, I work at a hospital, advocating for payments even when patients are covered. Thankfully, my former boss, Mr. Albright, was candid about my dismissal, and my new boss took a chance on me. However, he warned that any hint of impropriety would lead to swift termination. In my modest apartment, my social life is lacking. I find solace in online communities for women betrayed by infidelity. Comparatively, my situation seems manageable. Despite the turmoil, I maintain my appearance well. Derek knows my capacity for being a good wife and mother. Does he truly want to navigate the complexities of middle-aged dating for a new partner? I'll bide my time, hoping the girls will advocate for me. While Derek prepares for divorce, I ready myself for reconciliation. Memories of our happier days frequently consume me, eliciting tears and longing. I can't fathom Derek's lack of similar introspection, especially the girls' presence. Surely, our shared history holds significance for him. Derek, I implore you to rediscover the love, forgiveness, and second chances within your heart. I vow never to betray you again. It was foolish to squander our years together. May you find the wisdom to forgive this minor transgression.